Well, every 2 or 3 months we do a show like tonight, which is our community show where we celebrate you, the Global Peace Tribe, and all the members of our community. And of course, we've heard from Maggie, and we're going to hear more from her tonight about the Global Peace Tribe from an astrological point of view. But tonight we are celebrating one of our original members. He was with us going all the way back to Saturday Night Alive for the Global Peace Tribe days. And both he and his beloved wife are people that we just love very much. But we're going to learn all about another side of Andrew Bailey. We know that he's a filmmaker. We know that he's a teacher. He's an author. He's a lecturer. But he also taught Andy Warhol everything Andy knew about pop art. Um, well, maybe not. But he is a pop artist. So, hello, Andrew. Welcome back to the show. Of course, you've been on before teaching about the trust frequency. But tonight we get to see another side of you.
Hey, Scott. Hello, everybody. It's just a real treat to be here. Yeah, there's probably very few of you have ever thought of me as an artist, a pop artist. I'm best known perhaps as a photographer, filmmaker, a musician, music producer, stuff like that. So I've got a little tiny 1 minute and 40-second video I made of a show that just came down yesterday. It ran here in East Hampton in Eastern Long Island in New York for the month of October. And my part of the show was a four artist show. My part was called Queens of America. And America does not have monarchs. I always have a little bit of a political or a social or a spiritual component to everything I do. In fact, this is a brand new piece I'm just completing as we speak. It's called The Loving Universe. So it's all one great big love story. So this little video, I think I'm going to start with that just to sort of set the stage. And it does have a piece of music that I composed as the soundtrack. So what
Wonderful.
do I do? And Scott, can I go right ahead and do that?
Yeah, go ahead and screen share. Make sure you optimize sound.
And what do I do? Optimize sound for video, right?
Exactly.
Optimize for video clip. Okay, let's give it a shot. Here we go. This first image you'll see is the Queen of Sheba, and there's a whole bunch of other queens, and some of the queens are male, some are female. Andy Warhol was a famous cross-dressing drag queen. There's all this sort of stuff. So here we go. I think share. And play.
Well, that was interesting. I love that.
And now that wasn't all queens. I did throw some other stuff in there just to give it a little more variety. This is a project that I've been developing since the early 1980s. And if I can find the actual piece, I did it. The very first thing in this series I called her 25th, not 21st or 20th, but 25th century Aphrodite, a sort of future digital pixelated angel of love. And I'll find that for you. So I've been doing this for a long time, and now the technology has changed and shifted, so I can really be playful and productive and have a lot of fun with this. So they're purely digital in their origin. I have another aspect that I call my digital watercolors that are my photography that I transmute into beautiful digital paintings, if you will. But these are actually 100% digitally generated and put out, printed on exhibition fine art quality canvas on one of these widescreen printers. And I'm having a lot of fun with it, and people are really liking it. So I'm wide open to questions or input or feedback. And after a little bit, I'd like to go to our, Connie and I actually have an art for us, started with our photography, but it's the pop art and the photography, and it's Cameron Baxter Gallery. So we can go there and take a little tour of some imagery. Scott, what thoughts do you have?
Well, I have a couple questions for you. I love that you talked about how everything you do has some sort of a spiritual or social statement or connection. So I would love for you to take us through that with maybe a couple of the pieces, sort of the piece that's behind you, how how you weave your creative expression with social consciousness or even spiritual awakening.
So there's sort of a term that seems to be emerging. It's called conscious creativity, right? So we can make music, we can make inspiring, uplifting music, we can do paintings, we can make films, all of these different manifestations of the creativity of the human being. I like to call it AI, the artist inside. Because if you really want to know what AI means, it's actually the emerging artist, the emerging spirit of humanity. So if you go back to the pop art of the 1960s, it was a huge global phenomenon. It was very, very big. Those paintings that Andy Warhol was selling for $25 are now 25 to 125 million for the same piece of art, okay? But they were Campbell's soup cans and tubes of toothpaste and very mundane objects. What I'm doing is completely different in that I'm trying to evoke in the most minimal form the spirit of certain aspects of the universe. So in those queens that you just saw, there was who for example, it asked this very political question. Who is the Queen of America? Is it Queen Elizabeth? That would be Elizabeth Taylor. She's a candidate. Or if you're a Christian, perhaps you might say, oh, it's Queen Mary, the Virgin Mary. So there's all of these beautiful, deeply spiritual energies that are within these images. So each of these has a story behind it. That's the very first image you saw there, the wild African lady with a blue face. What's she doing as a Queen of America? Well, I call her the Queen of Sheba. And I don't know if you know this, but the Queen of Sheba, countless generations ago, went to visit King Solomon. King Solomon actually raped her, apparently, got her pregnant, and started the lineage that became the Ethiopian Empire that leads us all the way to Haile Selassie, all the way to Rastafari, all the way to the present day Rastafarian religion, which has come to America. So the Queen of Sheba is a candidate for a Queen of America. And there was Freddie Mercury. Was he a queen? Well, he had a band called Queen, and so on. So it's just playing with this, playing with gender identity, all these controversial things, and the deep inner spirit of these beings that we can evoke through very simple lines and bold, simple colors. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. You know, what came to my mind when you asked who is the Queen of America, immediately I got the image of the Statue of Liberty.
Ooh, I haven't thought of her. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you got to add her there because that for so many and most of our or many of our ancestors, that was the very first thing they saw when they came to America. The first thing they saw was the Statue of Liberty and they're greeting them. So that would be my Queen of America.
Okay, yeah, yeah, good for you. Yeah, people keep suggesting different queens. I mean, there's Angela
George Noble is suggesting the Queen of Sexuality, Marilyn Monroe.
Marilyn Monroe is an obvious candidate. I actually don't have her in that show. I've done Marilyn, a very obvious one. I think I started with Marilyn. Yeah, yeah, no question.
Well, we've got some questions that are coming in from our audience. Diara wants you to tell us more about the figures in Paris.
The what?
The figures in Paris. Diara writes, tell us more about the figures in Paris.
Oh, thank you. Oh, cool. Okay, so there are two figures at the end in Paris, right? One of them is a Chihuahua, and he's wearing a black beret. I almost always wear a black beret. Right, so here we are. I am a Frenchman and I wear my black beret, and people say, oh, you must be an artist. You've got that Eiffel Tower behind you. So that dog, that bright green dog, is actually me. I don't know if you remember a book, James Joyce's early book called Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. And then the poet Dylan Thomas did Portrait of the Artist as a Young Dog. And that painting is called Portrait of the Dog as a Young Artist. And he's asking a question. He's got his palette with his colors, his brushes. He's got the Eiffel Tower in the background. He's got the black beret. And he's asking a question. He's saying, am I an artist yet? Asking that question. What is an artist? What is art? What does it take to be an artist? So that's part of that. And then the last image was a sort of self-portrait, as you may have guessed. So there's a whole series I did, and I'd love to share it with you at some point. It's kind of funny. I get into very comedic things. I have a character who came to Paris in the year 1620, just as the Mayflower was sailing across the Atlantic. This UFO, the spaceship, dropped off this intergalactic anthropologist, ethnographer, in the grimy streets of Paris, and said, just blend in with the locals, take a lot of notes, and we'll be back. And they left him there. And he tried to blend in with the locals, but had a problem. His skin was chartreuse. It was bright green. There's no way he could blend in with the locals except after dark. So he became this nocturnal character. And the only creature who would come close to him was this cat. So he bonded with this cat. And the whole story, I think it might be a children's book. Anyway, that dog, that Chihuahua, started out as a cat, mutated, decided to want to be a dog. It's very silly, absolutely silly, because a part of Pop is that Pop is fun. It is bright. It is laughter-inducing. It's heart-opening. It's joyful. That make sense?
Absolutely. There's a lot of comments coming in right now. We're going to go back for a moment. I'm going to get to a couple of other questions in a moment. But Dia Therese writes, wasn't the Queen of Sheba, Nefertiti, in an earlier lifetime the mother of Akhenaten? I don't know, but maybe you know about that.
I don't either. I only know. Oh, and one thing that's interesting is in the website, I have little stories. Sometimes they're out of Wikipedia telling you who the characters are and what their history is.
Oh, that's fun.
Sheba traveled. She was like the queen of present-day Ethiopia, and she made a journey to King Solomon and was impregnated by him. And that's all I know about it, and returned pregnant.
Susan Bloomquist writes, Susan writes that there is a story that Queen Sheba took the Ark of the Covenant back home to Ethiopia. So that's interesting.
No, I haven't heard that.
We have a couple more. We have a couple more nominations for Queens of America. Sylvia suggests Michelle Obama. And Diara suggests
Michelle.
Yeah, you've done Michelle.
And Marion. Don't forget Marion Williamson. She's a candidate.
That's right. Diara suggests Taylor Swift, the Queen of Young Teens.
Yeah. I've got Beyonce. because I was trying to be
Okay.
culturally diverse as well.
This is good. This is very good. All right, we have another question. Going back, um, Maureen wanted you to just tell us more about the recent painting that's directly behind you.
So this is brand new. By the way, I'm sitting in a building that I designed and built 24 years ago. 25 years ago, this was a lawn. This was a beautiful lawn in West Hampton, New York. And a friend of mine who had purchased this property approached me and said, could I design and build for her a studio? So that's what this is. Connie's in another room, all the way down there. She's right around the corner. And I designed and built this beautiful building. It's an artist's studio, but it has 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and it's used for writing, painting, poetry, and spiritual meditation retreats. And we are all built this place, and we're always welcome here. So, just finished a show, and I just showed you that that little video from that show. The next show opens on my birthday, which is coming up in 2 weeks, Friday. And this is my contribution to that show. So this is a sneak preview. You're seeing this for the first time. It's 4 feet wide by 5 feet high, and 20 artists are given a canvas of those dimensions. And this show it's called Open Season, and that is coming up in a couple of weeks. And this is that piece. It's ready, it's done, it's ready to frame. And the content
Beautiful.
and the content of it is the love story of the universe. I think you can see the divine feminine there, and the divine masculine is clearly stricken. He's just turning into one big throbbing heart. I mean, what are you going to do?
I love that. Sylvia writes, by the way, that she was part of a church in the late 1990s where she was known as the Mother of the Queens. So we honor you, Sylvia, as the Mother of the Queens. George Noble points out that the Cathars were the last true Christians in which women were as important as men. Ayada points out, we were talking about 1620. That was the year that her great-grandfather sailed from England to the Virginia colony. Great-grandfather times 12, I should say. All right, I don't see any other questions right now, so I'll ask you one more. What are you going to take this on tour? How are we going to get more people to experience your pop art?
Yeah, exactly. So fortunately, we certainly can expose it to people, share it with people online. That's helpful. I'm just coming out of the closet with this, Scott. It's brand new, and it is for sale. And as you know, we're making a film called In Search of the Future. And this is part of my fundraising strategy. If I can sell enough art, if people will buy these paintings, and we can spend it on making this beautiful film, and I think there's a lot of people in this show who know exactly what we're talking about there. I'm trying to find the website. I think I'll open that up. Scott, did Connie put the website in the?
Yeah, she put it in, so I can open it
galleries,
up. Yeah, exactly. So let me open that up for us, and we'll take a look. It's Cameron Baxter Galleries. We're going now to Cameron Baxter Galaxies. Ah, you can see where my head is at. Cameron Baxter Galleries, not Galaxies.
Right.
And you are providing a 20% discount on people's first order.
Yeah, so click that away, that discount. Yeah. And that first one there, that's the Queen of New York. It's based on a transvestite I ran into one night on the streets of Manhattan.
I love it.
Very, as you can tell, exceedingly exotic being.
And I'm going to go to the Queens of America.
There's Maryland.
Since we talked about it, so there's Maryland, there's the Queen of New York, Madonna, the Virgin, Frida, Guadalupe, Grandmother circa 1915, the Queen of Sheba.
And the last one is 25th century Aphrodite, 1984. Click on that one, Scott.
Okay, I'm clicking on it.
What happens?
It's not opening. Let's see if it works up. I got it. There we go.
Yeah. So that
Wow.
started out as a black and white photograph and was fed into a $150,000 one-of-a-kind custom computer graphics system at the School of Visual Arts in Manhattan. Big mouthful there, but those were the days. This is long before Photoshop, about 1982. And I came up with this very strange looking being. So I've been doing this for a while.
Wow. Well, this is exciting. This is really exciting. And there's some new messages that have come in. I'm going to read those. And DR says, I love your music as well as your artwork. Maureen, our dear friend, says Andrew has been a designer and builder of houses and spaces, in addition to all the rest. Yes, I agree, Maureen. He
I'm
is
sitting
a
inside one, Maureen. Thank you. I'm sitting inside one right now. In fact, you were just in New Jersey at Newark Airport, about 70 miles from here. I wish you'd just stop by. Really, I'd love to share this with you. This place is fun.
and you were just with our beloved friends Kristen Hoffman
We
and
were
David
indeed.
Gershon.
We were David Gershon and Kristen over the weekend up Woodstock Way, interviewing them for the In Search of the Future movie.
Beautiful. And we're going to learn a little bit more about the In Search of the Future movie. I think you're going to show the trailer a little bit later on today when we bring Connie back on.